Hi, welcome to Dr. Pat TV, and we are looking at simple interest. And the examples that I want to do today are about Treasury bills, T-bills. T-bills are very similar to corporate bonds. Just like companies, a way the government can get money besides taxes is to offer these bonds, kind of like idea of these bills, and so that they basically can get money, and then they will then pay it back eventually. And so T-bills. Now, before I actually get to the specific example that I want to do, I just want to give a little background, some scenarios that we see, hopefully to make things easier from when we actually do the problem. Okay, now our first scenario that we've been having with is very much like the corporate bond, is that when we receive regular one way of working the interest is to receive regular interest payments so that I'm getting a $10,000, let's say there's a loan for $10,000 at 1%. And so then over the 3-year period of time, I can receive the $100 payment. That's 1% of the 10,000. I can receive that each year. And then at the end of those 3 years, I will receive in the future the $10,000 back. So I get my interest on a regular basis. And then at the end, I just get paid back my 10,000. Okay, so that's one way of playing the game. Another way is that they lump it all together at the end. So even though they're calculating $100 each of these periods, I don't get it. I wait until the future, and then basically I lump it all together. I get my 10,000 and my $300 of interest, and I get it together at one time. So that's kind of two different ways that we can play the game of our regular calculated interest. A third way now is that, well, instead of paying for that $10,000 corporate bond or bill, I'm just going to basically say I'm going to get $10,000 in the future, and I want 1% of that for 3 years. I'm going to get that payment of $10,000 in the future, but instead of getting regular payments or instead of lumping that $300 of interest at the beginning, basically here's what let's do this. Let's instead I pay only $9,700 for that $10,000 bond. So I just pay a smaller amount rather than getting a larger amount at the end. So the face value of this thing is $10,000, but I'm going to pay less for it. So that's different than the previous ones where you're getting interest. I pay the same amount, the face value of the thing, and then how do I receive my interest on a regular interest payment or at a lump sum at the end? A third way to look at it is just go ahead and take out the interest, and I'll just pay a smaller amount for it, and you just pay me the 10,000 at the end. We call that a discount. So if I'm going to take out the interest and so I pay a smaller amount, that's a discount. Okay, so now we're ready for the three scenarios. Look at T-bills, and T-bills are basically the third case here, the third scenario type of situation. Okay, so we got a U.S. Treasury bill paying $10,000 after 13 weeks. It's going to sell at a discounted rate of 2.04%. How much does Tammy pay for this T-bill? So she's gonna pay for it. She knows that in 13 weeks she's going to get paid $10,000. The question is how much does she pay for it now? So what are our key informations there? We've got $10,000, our face value of the T-bill. We've got a 13-week, that's our time period, and then we got a 2.04%. Now remember that 2.04% is an annual rate because it's always understood as annual rates unless specified otherwise. The time frame is 13 weeks, but that doesn't change the percentage. So one of the things we have to do is make sure when we talk about our time for our calculations, we're going to have to convert that weeks into a frame of mind of years, an annual kind of thing. All right, and then the key thing here is it's a discounted rate. So what's going to happen is that we're going to calculate this 2.4% not on how much we pay for it, but on the $10,000, the face value of that, the amount that we receive at the end. So this $10,000 for a T-bill is really the future value. It's how much the government is going to pay us back, $10,000, but pay us in the future, pay us after 13 weeks. So the question becomes, how much do we pay for it now? And now is the the present value. And so what we're looking at is kind of playing with this. So normally situation, our future value is the present value plus the interest that we earn. That's kind of like scenario number 2 that we talked about, that I showed in the previous slide. What we're looking for T-bills is an opposite way, is that we're looking to calculate the present value. That's what we don't know. The future value is the 10,000. We got to calculate the interest and deduct that out, take that out. And so that's our discounting situation that we have here. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we got our $10,000. That's the future value of the bill, the face value in this case. And then we want to deduct, so we're minusing here, 2.4%. Moved it 2 decimal places. But now remember, that's 13 weeks. So I don't want to just do 13. I've got to put it in the same time frame as the rate, and 13 over 52 converts the weeks into the appropriate value for years. And then of course interest is always calculated on the value there. So when we do this calculation, we get 99.49. And so basically Tammy, to get $10,000 in 13 weeks, she's going to pay $99.49 right now. So one of the questions that we ask is this a good investment? What's the return rate on Tammy's investment? Okay, so yeah, we saw the 2.04%, but that's the discounted rate. That's not really the rate of her investment. So let's kind of look at this. So we know that she's going to pay $99.49 for a $10,000 face value T-bill. She's going to receive in 13 weeks. It was given at a discounted rate of 2.04%. So we know that information. But the thing we want to do is when we're looking at rates of return, we want to find the percentage that's based on the 99.49, not the percentage here that was based upon the 10,000. So what we're really going to do is we're going to now ignore this 2.04%. That's not the rate we're looking for. So recall that for simple interest, the interest is equal to the principal, the present value, times the rate times time. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look for R. That's what this question is asking for. What's the return rate? And so here's where we're going to set up. Our interest was $51. Okay, where did I get this $51? Well, it's 10,000 minus the 99.49. So basically, she's earning $51. So she makes a payment of $99.49. Then she's going to get back $10,000. She's earning $51 of interest. And so that's my I. The present value, that's how much Tammy invested. She's actually investing only $99.49. Rate is what we're looking for. And then our time frame of 13 weeks. And remember, we want an annual rate. So that's why we got to do 13 over 52. We do the algebra, bring the 99.49 over by dividing, flip this fraction, multiply it, 52 over 13, and you do a calculation, move it 2 decimal places, and I'm going to get something like 2.05%. So she gets a little bit of an increase, a little bit difference between the discounted rate that you see advertised for a T-bill and her actual return rate. The return rate is usually higher. Okay, thanks. I hope this was helpful. Talk to you later.